Hey, what's up everyone? This will be my fourth video blog for the Super Punch-Out restoration, and as you can see, a lot's changed since the last time, mostly cosmetically. The first thing, just running through the list, I got the laminate installed, had my girlfriend help me with that, which is a huge help. Anytime you can get a second set of hands to assist you, whether it's laminate or vinyl, any of that stuff is a tremendous help. I've done plenty of cabinets completely by myself, and it's way more nerve-wracking. So I got the laminate installed. It was an interesting experience because this laminate comes with a protective film on it, and which makes sense because it's a gloss black, and so it's going to protect the laminate from getting scratched. So that was an interesting thing to come across, but it was also a little bit of a challenge because that film, even though it's really thin, does kind of get in the way of the bit for the router. And so when I was going around routing out the edges, sometimes I had to go over areas more than once. So not a big deal, but it was a little bit more of a challenge. The next thing I did was I replaced that base. So I removed the old one, which is a little more of a pain in the ass than I expected, but got that finally pried off, and then put the new one on there, and I think it looks really sharp, and it's also held on more firmly. It's instead of staples, it's on there with screws, which I like a bit more. So got the base installed, that looks good, and then we proceeded to put on the side art, and oh my God, what a relief to do something that's smaller instead of a full vinyl wrap. You know, this punch-out side art is really small, and so very, very easy to accomplish. In fact, I left the cabinet standing up, as you can see. So that went on without a hitch, no problem. Looks great. And then something I did off camera was I got the T-molding installed, and that's just kind of the final nice touch. It really polishes everything out. And this white, this flat Nintendo white, really makes the cabinet pop. I did run into a couple of challenges though with that, a couple of hiccups. I didn't discover this until after I applied the T-molding, but there are a couple areas, and it's minor, but there's a couple areas where the actual T-molding slot, the wood itself, is a little bit wider than the T-molding. And I'm guessing what happened was, it's not water damaged or swollen. I'm guessing what happened was when I removed that old, real brittle original T-molding, I ran into plenty of areas where the spine of the T-molding got stuck in the T-molding slot, and I had to pry that out. I had to fish that out. And I think in that process, it may have pulled some areas of the wood out a little bit more. It stretched it out just a little bit more. And it's really only a couple areas. There's one area up here, and I think like maybe one or two. It's not very noticeable, but that is there. So it's not perfect, but it came out really nice. So got the T-molding installed, got the side art, got the laminate, and then so I just moved on to basically cleaning out the cabinet finally. I wanted to wait until after the laminate because all those shavings and all that dust and everything that was in the cabinet would be there all together rather than having to re-clean the cabinet more than once. And this cabinet was already pretty clean inside. It was a little dirty, but it was, you know, for the most part, pretty darn clean. So that went pretty quick, you know, the vacuuming, washing. I did pull the transformer out and gave that a good rinse. That was filthy, and so were the wires. But yeah, so the cabinet's nice and clean now. And then the last thing I did was try to deal with the original plexiglass that was on here. If you recall, it's a smoke tinted plexiglass, and it's unique because it has a bend in it. And mine, while it looked decent, had all these surface level scratches in it, these circular scratches that I'm guessing came from someone cleaning it and using something too abrasive. And it was enough to bother me. And so I had a few options, I guess, and the first thing I did was look to see if someone reproduced it, because that would be the easiest and most convenient. And I went on Clav, I went on the forums, and I just couldn't find anything that was relevant. I could find threads from years ago that people had reproduced them, but no one was currently doing it, so I was kind of a dead end. So the next thing I did was consider going to my local glass shop and seeing if they could reproduce that. And then something happened. On my last video, I believe, someone commented and told me to contact this person on Clav that had reproduced them. I think his name is Esquileto. And so I shot him a message, and he responded pretty quick and said, yeah, I've got a spare, and sent me one. And it's actually right here. And it looks awesome. I haven't removed the protective film on there, but it is a spot-on replica, and so I laid it against my original, and it was a perfect fit. The only thing that's different about it is it's a little bit thinner than the original. The original is a little bit thicker, but that shouldn't be a problem. So that was really cool for him to do. And so huge shout out to Esquileto on Clav. Thank you for that. And so the plexiglass, that's all taken care of. So I thought, well, you know, since I've got this nice reproduction that I'm most likely going to be using, I've kind of got nothing to lose with trying to tackle those scratches on the original. And so I decided to give it a shot to buff those out. And I bought a bunch of those buffing wheels that you can fit inside your drill. And then I took some Novus and went to town on it. And I did 2 full applications. I did the 3, the 2, and then the 1. And probably spent about an hour and a half on it, but it came out great. In fact, it's a night and day difference to the point that I could probably use it without any issue on this cabinet. So I think what I'm gonna do is use that as a backup, as a spare, and go with the brand spanking new reproduction. But I was just shocked at how well that worked with buffing out those scratches. So yeah, big endorsement for Novus, I guess. But anyways, that's about it. The next course of action is going to be my powder coated parts are supposed to be done tomorrow. And so I'm hoping to get those installed on here and then do the control panel, get that all assembled. And then from there on else, there's not a whole lot. It's mostly, I got to replace the marquee light there. I've got a really cool LED one that I think is going to be sharp. And then working on the monitors is kind of the number one priority at this point. I need to, there's a couple little geometry issues I got to figure out on them. And but otherwise, that's about it. It's coming together pretty quickly. I think a lot depends on how quickly I can get those monitors in tip-top shape. But yeah, she's coming along great. So anyways, that about wraps this one up, and I will see you guys in the next video blog. Thanks.